Good morning, everybody. This is Daniel here with Propelio, and I'm excited to have Ace here with me today. We're going to be discussing the activities that every real estate investor should be doing on a weekly basis, and I'm going to focus predominantly on newer real estate investors, somebody that's not been in the business long, that might be on a limited budget, but they're still trying to break into this industry and trying to create a new path for their lives. I'm going to break down some of the things that we can be doing on a limited budget to get that business moving forward and how you should design your week to make sure that that is successful. So stay tuned right after this short commercial break, and I'll look forward to talking to you.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batskip Tracing, CreativeCashflow.com, and Lifeiner.
All right, everybody, we're back here with Ace, man. I want to say huge thanks for all of the help that you gave us at the We Live event there with Max Maxwell. Not only yourself, Casey and Jason Della, Marquise Johnson, Ronnie Hale, Joel Lee, all of y'all just came in and provided much love, much support. And one of the things that you mentioned while we were there is like you wanted to be on Propelio TV someday. Yeah. And if that was something I could do to pay you back, then I'm doing it. So,
man, tenfold.
This show is yours today, man. You've got my time, you've got my ear, you've got everything I can possibly do for you today. So part of this was sitting down with you beforehand and saying, hey, what can I do to help your business? And you kind of laid out some of the things you were struggling with. And my goal today is to make sure that I can do everything I can possibly do to get you moving in the right direction. So do you mind introducing yourself to everybody here that's watching right now? Give a little bit of who is Ace and what can we do to help you?
Yeah, my name is actually Shannon Hamilton. My friends call me Ace from Long Beach, Texas. Came to Dallas, to pursue what everybody pursues to get out of a small town country, to have bigger dreams and work, And so basically right now, just out of my own, I've been in real estate for about 15 years now, being in title work, loan officer, and now jumping into wholesaling.
So I just learned some stuff about you I never knew, and that was you've done title work and loan processing. So like, were you an escrow assistant, escrow officer?
Escrow assistant.
Escrow assistant. So you understand curative title work and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. So you've got some advantages there that I didn't know about before we hopped on this call.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've got some understanding of curative title work, maybe that's a question, something I can stew on a little bit, but let's see if we can tie that in here, because with you understanding curative title work, that might help you out finding some sellers.
Yeah, I went from it being a HUD to going to CDs, and
so, you saw some transition.
Yeah,
there.
I saw the transition, worked in post-closing, man, so I did it all from front to back, so
That's actually exciting for me. So let me think about that through this conversation a little bit. So for everybody that's watching right now, let me explain a little bit how I plan on making this go down. You hit me up with a bunch of questions beforehand, kind of explaining what your week looked like and how so you were having some struggles here and there. So I've got that thought process committed. But what I want to do today is hit you up with the main activities that we should be doing all week long to making sure that we're moving forward with something. I believe, most importantly, if we're starting out in this business, we're almost always going to be what I'm going to call a solopreneur. We're going to be running by ourselves because we don't have the money to hire people. We can't just go out there and hire 15 people and do what some of these bigger boys are doing. So I can't teach you what the bigger boys are doing. I'm going to need to start out with what a solopreneur should be doing. Because my goal is if I teach you what a solopreneur should be doing and you do that long enough, then we can start adjusting into what some of these big boys are doing because we've already stacked the capital up that we need to make this happen. So give me some feedback on what your week looks like right now. Like, your average week, what are you doing on a daily activity?
To be honest with you, watching Propelio.
All right. Well,
I'm in the academy. I'm basically, because my thing is fear of stepping out and messing something up really bad to where I can't get back to it,
Let me pause on that because I want to start drawing these fears out of you because it's these fears that are going to be stopping you, and we got to overcome these fears. What are some of those big fears that you're struggling to overcome? What give me this worst case scenario that's playing out in your mind that says I shouldn't do this because I don't have X yet?
I would say I have the knowledge, and you've heard of analysis paralysis,
yes, sir.
Right? And I think I struggle with that because it's like once I'm in learning something, it's like I learn something new every day, and like I can use that, or I see something like I'm glad I didn't do that. Just like giving an offer over the phone, you
Okay.
know, just something as simple as that. It's like I don't want to, talk to a customer and end up losing that lead.
Okay. What I'm going to encourage you to do, and I want you to do this, and it might. I want to see how you feel about this.
Right.
I need you to fail, and I need you to fail a lot.
Fail forward.
It's cliche. It sounds, like blah. I want you to fail at least 100 times a day, and if I can get you to fail 100 times a day, you got those kinds of odds working with you. Eventually, one of them is going to succeed.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, that's something that I know. I know I won't learn it out of a book. I know it takes you doing this business to get out and fail to get out there and be successful. That's how you learn. Because some of the things that I've done so far, I failed and learned. Okay, well, I know not to do that step. I know I need to move in this direction and go that way to get it done.
Okay.
And so exactly, I just need to get out there and just fall on my face, to be honest with you.
Well, much love that you see that and you accept that, because one of the things that we were taught through school and through our life is that failure is bad. Right. And if you're stepping into the entrepreneur world, and that world comes with its own inherent risks. And one of those risks is that you have to fail. And a lot of people getting started, they want to know all of the answers before they do something, because they're so afraid of failing that they do a lot of due diligence, analysis, a lot of all of this up front. And all of that does is accumulate into busy work. What I need to be focusing on throughout the entire week, and this goes to everybody that's out there watching right now, if you are a solopreneur getting started, there's a million things to get done. And with there being a million things to get done, it can be overwhelming. Well, I need to get LLC set up. I need to get accountants. I need to get this. I need to get that. Busy work. There's one thing and one thing only throughout this week that's going to get you to the next level. That's prospecting. I need to make sure that you're spending your entire week prospecting. And I'm going to break this down after a little bit. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to build out a calendar for you. We're going to build out a calendar together that'll kind of lay out your predominant activities that we need to be doing as we're moving forward with this. But prospecting should be first and foremost 90% of all of your activities. So right now, prior to us hopping on air here, we talked a little bit, and you were talking about some of the activities that you were doing today. You said you were going into Propelio. Propelio would show you all the stuff that you needed to be doing. What I need you to do is break that down and pull back even yet again another step further. And I'm going to give you some advice that my wife gave me. So my wife gave me this advice when we first got into business together. She saw how scatterbrained I was. I was staying busy as all hell, man. Like I was working around the clock and I was busy, but I was busy. I wasn't making money. I was busy. So let's figure out what happened there. So what my wife did with me is she sat me down, and because she knows how bad I have ADD, like it's extremely difficult for me to maintain concentration on anything. Yeah. What she ended up doing with me though is sitting me down with literally I have a spiral notebook that's about yay big. It's just a little bitty spiral notebook, and it stays on my desk. And what I do is at the beginning of the day, I write down all of the tasks that need to be done, and I put it on that spiral notebook. And that's good, but that does me no good if that spiral notebook does not get me paid. So then what we would do is we'd do an activity where we'd look down at everything that needed to be done that day, and we'd classify it into three areas. Area number one is activities that will get me paid, because I can't stay in business if I don't get paid. So those are the most important things. I don't care about LLC. I don't care about accountant. I don't care about taxes. I don't care about bookkeeping. I don't care about a damn thing except for get me paid. All right. Get me paid. So that's activity number one. And I look at everything that's on my list that needed to get done today, and everything that gets me paid moves to the top. All right. Now then I've got two other buckets that I look at after that. And the next two are things that have to get done, and things that I want to get done. Like things that I might want to get done is organize my desk. But sometimes I might go in and start my day, and the very first thing I do is organize my desk. Well, if I spend 45 minutes organizing my desk, guess what I didn't do? I didn't get paid. Right. I didn't get paid. So what I end up doing is like things that have to get done are like, let's take a look at that. Things that have to get done are gonna be, you know what? I need to file my taxes. No matter what, I have to file my taxes. But whenever I really look at things, what's more important? Me cashing a check or filing my taxes?
Cashing that check.
Cashing that check is very important. So what I find a lot with new people, and this is me myself, so I'm self-reflecting. This isn't me acting like I'm some superior being that understood all this getting started. Whenever I first sit down, getting paid is the only thing that's going to keep you in business. So we have to do that first. So what are things that you can be doing that'll get you paid?
Driving for dollars.
Prospecting.
Yeah, prospecting.
Driving for dollars, doing that. So here's a couple of things I'm going to show you and work with you on today. And this is going to be all relative to prospecting and prioritizing your tasks throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. So that way you are well aware of what you need to be doing, and it's all prospecting up front. Once you've got the prospecting figured out, you're going to eventually fail so much that you win. Right. There's like Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey. You hear about all these Bruce Lees, all these people that have done big, great things. They did not do it without years of failing, but nobody pays attention to the years of failing. Everybody pays attention to that overnight success that took 10 years. Yeah. But what they don't realize was the 9.5 years before everything went haywire for them that they spent, wanting to give up, crying, just feeling like a failure. They don't pay attention to all that. All they say is, "Well, he got lucky." Because that's an easy way for them to figure that out in their head and figure out what happened to them. Prospecting is what's going to get you there. So I want to hit you up with some lead types that I've discussed here on Propelio TV before. Some people have taken advantage of it because they saw the value in what I was doing. Other people heard it and never did anything. But I know that you, sir, are going to go out there and kick some ass. So I'm going to hit you up with some thoughts. Have you seen any of the shows that I've done on water lists?
Yes.
Okay, and have you been pulling some water lists?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, so you've got one. When'd you pull it?
Last week.
Last week, that's exciting. What city?
Arlington.
Arlington, all right. Arlington's a good city to pull in. Arlington's a big city. How much struggle did you get pulling that off?
I went, as a matter of fact, took action, went down to the city hall to see about getting a list from there, and they told me I had to put in an open records request.
Yes, sir.
So did that. They got back to me really quick and, gave me the information, like, here's the information that you asked for, the way that you asked for it. Send me a list. List was about this long, so I'm like, now what?
All right. This is all good. I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited.
So the list goes back from I asked them to give me a list from the water that's been turned off anywhere from a month ago to maybe 6 months ago.
Okay.
And that's the list that they sent me. But the list was so long, they had people on there that's maybe 2 years ago. So now I have to go through and eliminate those, because I'm pretty sure those houses are not available anymore.
Let's clean this up a little bit. Let's change the direction just a little bit. All right. So the open records request, did you file that online or at the hall?
Online.
All right. So good. So all of this activity can be done online. Let's do these water record requests online. The list that you pulled is great, but let's try and clean it up some. And what I would like you to do this time, let's just abandon that list. Let's abandon that list. That list could have been cleaned up a little bit if, I'm not even gonna go down that route. Let's do this. Let's file another open records request for the city of Arlington, and also pull one for Grand Prairie, because Grand Prairie is another easy city to grab one from. And what we're gonna do is say, I want a list of all properties that have had the water shut off within the last 30 days. So it only happened in the last 30 days. And you understand the rest of that process so far. You've watched, excuse me if everybody out there watching is getting lost. I'm trying to focus here on ACE because this is your time. I want to make sure that you're understanding this. I want a list of everything that has had the water shut off in the last 30 days. That's all I want. Okay. So that should be a smaller list than what you got the first time.
My list was giant.
All right, so that's list number one. Now I'm gonna have you simultaneously pull a second list. I'm gonna have you pull both of these at the exact same time. The second list you pull is, give me a list of all properties that have had the water shut off in the last year and have not been turned back on.
Okay.
So that tells me that the water's been off for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. That thing is straight abandoned. You know that nobody's living there. All right, so now I've got two different list types. Let's focus on the first list we were talking about. The first one was Give me some feedback on that. What was the first one I was talking
The
about?
one that's been turned off for 30 days.
In the last 30 days. That could have been turned off and turned back on in an hour. That could have been turned off and turned back on in 5 days. That could have been turned off and never turned back on.
Right.
So there's all kinds of scenarios there. If you've watched my trainings on that, what type of leads might I be getting out of that? I've got 3 or 4 types.
You might get pre-foreclosure leads out of that. You might get
What are some of the motivating things?
absentee owners out of that.
Yeah. All right, good feedback. What I'm looking at is if they shut the water off, why did their water get shut off?
Either they couldn't afford it.
Either they couldn't afford it. All right, so that's one. Is that a lead?
Oh yeah, that's a lead.
That's a lead. That's a damn good lead, because if I don't have the ability to turn on the water to my house, something financially is going wrong.
Right.
So boom, what's another thing that might be causing that water to get shut off?
Shit, they may just not want the house anymore.
They moved out.
Yeah.
They don't live there anymore. Boom, that's another good lead for me. Another possibility could be that there was a massive water leak and they don't know how to turn it off. So they called up the water department. I was like, hey, can you turn off the water? I got something crazy going on here. That's a third possibility. A fourth possibility that we could pull out of that first list that we were talking about is that the seller sold their house and canceled it. That's not a lead though. That's not a lead, right?
Right, 'cause somebody could come right back.
Because they already sold it. You know, because like let's say I list my property for sale on the MLS and you come up to buy my house, I agree to sell you my house. It's time to close. Closing date comes. I schedule my water to be turned off. You schedule to have the water turned on.
Right.
And there's nobody for me to market to because the house has already been sold. That's not a good lead for me. So the first thing I need you to do with that list is I need you to what I'm going to call scrub the list.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to go through and search all of those addresses for properties that have been on the MLS and have sold. Now I can take, let's say Arlington gives you a list of 300 properties. I'm just throwing a number out there. If Arlington gives you a list of 300 properties and you can eliminate 200 of them just being retail sales, that narrows you down to 100 people that did not sell their house and had their water shut off for some reason. That is a great list to be starting with. This is all talking about the prospecting side of stuff, and we're going to break this down into a calendar here in a little bit. But now that I've got that list of 100 plus people, 100 people or so, what activities should we be doing to secure and land a deal? All right.
Trying to get a hold to the seller.
Got to get a hold of the seller. So there's some things that we can look at with that list in addition. We can find absentee owners in there. So if I'm stuck on a limited marketing budget, and I don't have a whole lot of ability to go out there and I need to narrow that list down even further from 100 people, I can take a look at all of those property addresses in the Central Appraisal District. And if you want to get a pen and paper, I'm good with that. If you need one, hit me up. I'll get you one right now. What I'm going to do from there is I'm going to take a look at all the properties on the Central Appraisal District. And what I'm going to be able to find from the Central Appraisal District is if they are an absentee owner. You following me?
Yeah, if the addresses are different.
If the address is different from the home address, I now have found a property that's been abandoned, and it's a landlord that's just now experiencing a vacant property. How many landlords out there do you believe own their properties free and clear?
Probably a majority of them.
I would lean towards most of them got financing. Are you familiar with the Burr method? Okay.
Yeah,
if
buy
not,
and rent.
you buy it, you rehab it, you rent it, or you buy it, you rehab it, you rent it, refinance it, and repeat it. That is a very popular financing model for securing properties, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of landlords out there that own property, but they are leveraged with a loan. So if I find that landlord right at the point in time when their property is being vacated, because if that tenant skips and they shut off that water and they bail, this landlord has several things going through their mind right now. Problem number one, my property is now vacant.
Right.
If my property is vacant, nobody's paying for my property, and that means that I might have to pay for my property. Problem number two that might be existing in this landlord's world, they just have this tenant leave, and when that tenant left, did they leave that property in the same condition they received it in? It's likely not probable.
Right.
They probably trashed the carpet up, if nothing else. We've probably got some paint that needs to be done. Maybe they messed up the dishwasher. Maybe their dog chewed up the fence in the backyard. I, as a landlord, have just been placed in a bad position. I was not expecting to have to spend these expenses. I'm gonna have to pay my own rent, or I'm gonna have to pay my own mortgage. Right. I'm gonna have to spend, let's say, $6,000 or $7,000 in a make ready, and I'm gonna have to now secure a new tenant. These are all things that are bad for me as a landlord. And let me go ahead, and for everybody that's out there watching right now, I'm gonna give all y'all some advice. Not every landlord that's out there is rich. There are plenty of landlords out there that are barely getting by. There's a lot of accidental landlords out there, or landlords that were not trained in this business and just thought that this was going to be some, I'll do it on the side kind of thing. I'll just mom and pop this, that have no clue how to run a rental business, because it's a damn business if you're going to run rentals. It is not passive by any means. Get that out of your head. Rentals are not passive at all. Rentals are an active activity. I don't care if you got a property manager, you still have to manage your property manager. Anybody that says rentals are a passive activity has not done this business long enough. So we have a bunch of accidental landlords, we have a bunch of non-professional landlords, and we have a bunch of undercapitalized landlords. If I'm able to find property at the moment in time that this landlord is about to have to drop $5,000 to $6,000 in make ready, they're about to have to make the payments on their house for the next 2 to 3 months while they get out there after their 9 to 5, because they're mom and popping it. They're not hiring a general contractor to come out here. They're going to go out there on the nights and weekends and come in there and do the touch-up paint and try and fix the fence. So that property is going to sit vacant for a couple of months. If I can catch them at the exact moment that all of these problems become a reality, you, sir, will be ahead of 90% of the investors. And I will also lend to you this piece of advice. You will be marketing to a list of people that very few people know of. All right. I know I'm sitting here on Propelio TV talking about it right now, but I'm going to be telling you most of the people watching Propelio TV right now have not done what you did. And what you did is you paid attention and you applied it.
Oh, yeah.
I give you massive amount of credit for doing that.
Appreciate it.
So I want you to grab that list. I want you to cross-reference it against the MLS. And that right there is already a good list. If you have the ability to market to that list, let's do that. But if we need to slim it down even some more to hit only the ones that have the highest probability of creating a deal for you, then I'm going to say cross-reference it and scrub it to just get the absentee owners.
Yeah, because what I didn't do was put that haven't had the water turned back on. So
Okay.
Ain't no telling what's probably on that list. I probably really do just need to destroy that one and do me a whole.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just, because did it cost you anything?
No, it's absolutely free.
So this is why I want to make sure that you're focusing on this, because it's a list that you can get for pretty much free. And I can show you some ways to market to it that will be limited to no costs. They're not going to be extreme bank killers, but if we target and we hone in on this, this can start turning into $20,000 to $30,000 paydays. Yeah. And if I can get you to do this consistently for at least 2 to 3 months, what you're going to start finding is where you are failing. These should start becoming apparent, because as you move forward, you're going to hit problems that I can't sit here and teach you, because I'm just not thinking about all of the things that I had problems with starting out. Right. But you're going to start finding roadblocks. And when you find those roadblocks, you are going to use that drive. You're going to use that passion inside that I saw when we went to that We Live event. And you're going to use that to overcome these roadblocks. Yeah. Because it's those roadblocks that are standing between you and $30,000 payday. So we need to figure out what those are, and I can't tell you today. So what I need you to do is take what I've just showed you and go out there and start knocking those things down.
I take what you just told me. That's is coming in between me and $30,000. So that's all I need to know. Hey, I'm gonna do whatever I can, because I know some kind of way you may have 10 to 30 to even more than that amount of money that I can get.
There is opportunity there, and so many newer investors skip the prospecting part. Right. They figure out the education side of it. They figure out all that, but they put the brakes on when it comes to prospecting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I spend this time putting your next month into nothing other than hyper-focused prospecting.
And you know something? That's really not taught. From what I've been looking at wholesaling, I'm gonna tell you, for probably about 3 years.
Okay.
And it's like I've been getting the outline of it instead of the feeling of it. Okay. And it's not to just because I'm on here, but I really didn't get that feeling until I found you all. And so that's when I started diving in, and I started to get the feeling from like everybody, just like you said, all the accidental landlords, people are just jumping out there, jumping into the business and not really getting it all because of not the gurus. The gurus out there just telling them, and it's just, man, it's a lot of mess ups out there, and so I know now it's a lot to be cleaned up out there. So I have just prospecting. I have to go out there and find it and get what I can get out of it.
Absolute truth, man.
Yeah.
Absolute truth. And whenever I say, you know, 25, 10, 15, 20, $30,000 paydays, that is not abnormal. These are not like pie in the sky things, like a deal for me knocking off $30,000, and I'm not going to sit here and in any way discredit that. But a $30,000 deal is just another deal. Right. And when you get to the point of abundance where you realize that $30,000 is just $30,000, it will change your life, man. Yeah. And it is crazy how that works. You know, you start talking about $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 deals, I might start perking my ears up a little bit. Yeah. But you start telling me like, well, here's a $15,000, here's a $20,000 deal. That's great. But that doesn't even excite me anymore. That was just another day in business. Mm-hmm. What I want to see is that happen for you. I want to see you a year from now come back to the Propelio studio and tell me about how you've just blown this out of the water, how you've got all these things going, because I want to see you win. I really do, man.
I think I put myself in position, like with the We Live, y'all gave me the opportunity, so I feel I put myself in position to win. Mm-hmm. So just like I'm here now, I know you guys got my back. So I can't do nothing but win.
So let's recap this. Activity number 1 is we're going to go back to Arlington and GP. Yeah. We're going to dump that old list. We're going to ignore that old list. Let's go to Arlington and GP. We're going to pull a new water list. We're going to pull 2 of them. List number 1 was going to be properties that have had the water shut off in the last 30 days. I don't care if it's been turned back on or not. I just say all I want is properties that have had the water shut off in the last 30 days. From there, I'm going to scrub out all of the MLS solds. So that way I'm not trying to market to people that have already sold their house, because that's a wasted lead. And then I'm going to go through, and if I'm okay with that, I'll take those leads and start marketing to them. And I'll talk about how we're going to market to them here in a second. Right. And then step number 2 is if I need to filter it down even more, I'll take out all of the owner occupied properties and just reduce it down to the absentee owners. Because if I can find that absentee owner at the point in time where their property goes vacant, I have the highest probability of somebody being willing to negotiate with me and make a deal, because they are in a position where they realize that they are undercapitalized and they don't have the ability to get this property rent ready again. And whenever a landlord is in that position and they do not sell, I'm going to explain to you what happens. That landlord is going to get desperate. They don't have the money to get their home fixed up. So they're going to try and rent it as is. And then when they try and rent it as is, their buyer pool goes from cream of the crop tenants, the tenants that I really want. If I find a really good tenant that's got a decent credit score, that's got a good job, that's going to pay me every single month, is that tenant going to show up to my house and look at this and be like, man, I know there's holes in the walls, there's fleas on the carpet, and that the refrigerator still smells like mold. I know that I can rent this one, but I'm gonna have to put all this work into it. This landlord's that tenant's not gonna rent that house, are they?
No, they
Hell no, they're not. They're gonna go find that beautiful house with the granite, with the fresh carpet, the fresh paint, because they want to live how they live, and they live responsibly. That is not a responsible house. They're not gonna move into it. So who are they gonna find?
They're gonna find the one that's the pretty house.
They're gonna end up finding that tenant that's willing to take that trashed out house.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. So if I'm confusing, I apologize. I jump around all the time. What that landlord is going to find is the tenant that's okay with the fleas in the carpet, that's okay with the holes in the wall, that's okay with the writing all over the place. That tenant is most of the time not going to be a good tenant for them.
Right.
And then what they're going to end up doing is they're going to put that tenant in place, and they're going to put that tenant in place. Why? Because they couldn't afford to clean up the house, and they couldn't afford to make the mortgage payment. And if they couldn't do either one of those, and they're scared about that next mortgage payment, they're going to take the first tenant that comes along that will agree to pay their mortgage. And now they're not even making money on the house anymore. Yeah, they're just like, I can't rent it for $1,200 a month. I can only rent it for $900 a month because no one will pay me $1,200 a month for it.
Not for that.
And now $900 a month just barely covers my mortgage, but now I've got a tenant. And now they've got a tenant, and now they're excited. And now that they're excited, they put that tenant in place. And what's going to happen with that tenant is not going to take care of the house. They're probably not going to pay their mortgage. And now this landlord that's already stressed out is about to have to go do an eviction.
Right.
And if they do an eviction, that water still gets shut off. You're starting to see where you're finding this motivator. You've got this landlord that's broke as all hell, should have never been in this business to start with because they didn't understand it as a business. They were either an accidental landlord or an uneducated real estate investor. You are now in a position to go out there and help this person. And how are you going to help them?
Go in and present an offer to them. I can take this property off your hands.
Boom, because you have been educated.
Yeah.
You know what's going on. So now you can go over there and you can start hitting these landlords up and secure that. We'll talk here in a minute about how to market to it. Right after this break, I'm going to come back to everybody that's watching right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to market to this first list type that we've created. In addition, I'm going to talk a little bit about that second list that we talked about and how that's going to be advantageous to you. And then after we've done that, I'm going to spend the last half of this segment breaking down how I think your week should look. And you and I work together to start building out a calendar of what your activities should be. So that way, a month from now, 2 months from now, you and I can be shaking hands, going out to dinner saying, dude, you knocked down that deal. I really want this for you.
Of course I'll pay for you.
I really want you to win on this, man. I truly do, man. You came out and you showed me some massive love at that We Live event. And I want to make sure that you feel like you were respected for that.
Man, all I needed was just a good solid team. You know, a lot of us, some of us need hand holding, you know, but if that's what it takes for you to be successful, man, get your hand held for a little bit and step on out there when it's time to jump off the porch and you ready. There it is.
Well, if Propelio can do anything for you today, we'll get you that network.
Man, you guys have the Academy. Let me just put it to you like that. The Academy, you guys have already done so much for me. That's why it was no problem for me to come out there and give you guys 110%. It was easy. You know, it was like, it was fun. It was no work at all because I've gained so much. Again, I got that feeling. And so once I'm filled up, you know, I'm ready to burn it off and work it off. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to spread the word because just like you say, it's a lot of me's out there right now that's new, don't know where to go. So
I was you.
Yeah.
I was you 10 years ago. And I got in with those gurus and they took advantage of me, man.
Yeah.
It just went downhill. So my goal in life is to make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else. I want to give straight knowledge to people that are out there willing to change their lives because there are so many of us that grew up without understanding what the opportunities really were.
Oh, man.
And now if I can expose opportunity to so many people and that they can actually take advantage of those opportunities and go out, then I've won in life. That's all I need in life.
Yeah, I had a young lady reach out to me from the event. You know, we were telling about the Academy, and she was like, "Thank you." You know, I was like, "Yeah, I told you. You go in there if you don't know something about pre-foreclosures. You know how to get hard money. It's in the Academy and it's free of charge. You can't get no better than that."
We're putting that on rocket fuel, man. I've been holding back on the Academy big time. We're releasing about 200 more videos here within the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out on that. I told y'all we were going to break. We got sidetracked with some love here. I'm going to go ahead and come back right after this break, and I appreciate all of y'all that have tuned in.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
All right, everybody, we're back. And if you've been enjoying the content we've been dropping here, I don't know if you can see this right over here. We've got a live like counter. So if you have not liked Propelio's Facebook page yet, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel or checked us out on Instagram and checked us out there, this is a live counter. We're at 1,618 followers on Instagram. We're at about 8,300 on Facebook, around 3,200-ish on YouTube. I want to see these numbers fly up as you're watching this. This is live, so if I can get y'all to start liking us, please do. This is how you're going to get in touch with content like this. We put on about 10 or so shows a week, and we try to provide as much value during these shows as we possibly can. So if you're enjoying the content that we're dropping on you here for free, Please subscribe, please like, please share, please let everybody else know. Believe it or not, it is this community that we are building that keeps this company alive. So support our community by letting everybody else know about it. And we look forward to keeping you here and just working with you on a day-to-day basis. I'm gonna jump right back in right now with Ace, and I want to move forward. Whenever we went to break, we were talking about the academy. We're talking about all those things that we were gonna do. If y'all haven't checked out the academy yet, go out there, check it out, Propelio.com. Up at the top, there's a little button that says Academy. We have full-blown real estate investing education there. We are providing it to the world for free. There are some bugs, there are some glitches, but we are in the process right now of completely re-releasing the academy here in about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So expect a whole new academy coming out with about 200 more videos, a little bit more organization and content. But if you've been to the academy before and you hit some bugs, we understand, we're fixing them. Much love. Let's go ahead and jump back into that. One last thing before I do. Hey, Tyler. Tyler's my daughter. Tyler and my wife made me a nice little milk jug here. My daughter kind of drew all over my milk jugs, or not my milk jug, my water jug. Love you, Tyler. Love you, Miranda. Love you, Zyla. Love all of y'all. Y'all are the reason I do this. Y'all remind me every single day of where I've been, where I've come from, and how I'm getting somewhere that I never thought I'd be. Thank you for being my support. Thank you for reminding me every day why I do this. Thank you so much. Thank you for reminding me why I do this. I was in your shoes 10 years ago, man, and to be able to give back and show somebody else that there is a path outside of what we learned growing up means a lot to me.
Oh, brother.
It means more to me than you could ever imagine.
Man, you don't understand what you guys have done for me, man. So I appreciate you. And again, it was my pleasure doing whatever you guys need me to do. I told you, if you need me to work a rehab, go put a window in, sweep the floor,
Well, I'll hit
sweep
you up
up
on
around
that, man.
here. If y'all need me to hang a light up around here, whatever y'all need, man, I'm here for y'all, man, because y'all showed me so much love. And even the people that's not here, that's associated with Propelio, have showed me so much love.
Give them some shout outs.
Casey Deli has helped me a lot. Jay Coleman has helped me a lot. I want to give a shout out to Ronnie Hale for steady keeping in contact with me, man. Love you, bro.
RJ?
RJ Bates, thank you so much for your help on the property that I brought to you. And just everybody. Jerly, I appreciate you, for all the things that you brought on the Iron Hill show. Elizabeth, all the ladies. all the ladies, man. The ladies rock, man. You guys have a heck of a show, man.
So something I wanna draw off of that, and I know that list could go on for miles. So if you didn't get mentioned, don't take it personally. I'm sure that there's much love there. But what I want to show a lot of y'all that are watching that may not realize this is that within certain communities, and Propelio is a community that we're working on building, and even outside of this community, there's other communities that support the same thought process. Let's help each other out.
Yeah.
Like I was surprised at how much help I was able to get from the community whenever I'd start reaching out. Even though we all are going after houses and we are all somewhat competing with each other, we all still work together very closely in a lot of ways. Like you could reach out to me right now and be like, "Hey man, I'm getting hit with a problem on this house. I'll work you through it." Because I understand the abundance mindset of we're all here to win together, man. It's not me win over you or you win over me. It's we all win.
Right. In my first 2 years of learning this business, again, online gurus, that's what I thought, that we were in competition. Cause that's what they teach you. You're in competition with in this market, your competition. No, it's really once you get in this, and I seen this from the We Live event, man. It's love. Mm-hmm. It's all love, man. Like I love talking to the people that came, because I know they spent a lot of money coming to that event. I mean, some people come from Milwaukee, Ohio, Baltimore,
California,
a lot of Florida, California.
That dude from California drove in by himself in a wheelchair.
The guy in a wheelchair, yeah.
He's like, this is my path in life, and he drove from California to Texas, just so that way he could be a part of that community.
So hey, it's no excuses, man. No excuses for anybody. No excuses. He wanted it bad enough. He took necessary action and got here, and I seen him around. He was a rock star here. I mean, people was loving on him, man. So kudos to you, man. And if you reach out, man, join the academy. We here for you. If you need anything answered, we here for you.
So let's go ahead and just jump back into this, man. So we covered that first list that we were going to request. Let's hit up that second list that we request. These are going to be two different, same source. We both getting them from the water, but we're pulling two different types of motivators. The first one we were talking about was like it just went vacant because somebody skipped town, a tenant skipped town, or it was just sold, or there was a busted water pipe, or somebody just abandoned their house. You know, we don't know what caused it, but that list is a list that we're going to approach differently. The second list I mentioned from the same water department, we're just going to pull a different type of list from that same water department, was give me a list of all properties that have had their water shut off, let's say greater than 30 days ago.
Right.
But less than a year ago, and have never turned it back on. That's a whole different kind of motivator right there. That is a whole different can of worms. That is not the same type of thing. If that house has had the water shut off for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year, something's wrong.
Right.
That house is abandoned. So let's pull that list also. All right, now when I get that list back, I'm gonna need to scrub it as well. Okay, because a property that had the water shut off and has not been turned back on in a year, a very good probability is that property was foreclosed on and it's now owned by a bank.
Right.
If it's a bank-owned property, I'm just gonna say right now at this level, it's a dead lead. We're not gonna be hitting the bank-owned properties, and there's gonna be a lot of them. But what I'm looking for is a property that's had the water shut off in the last year. And I'm showing you how to do some online prospecting.
Right.
And a lot of this is going to correlate to driving for dollars as well. But I'm going to take the driving for dollars aspect out of this, and I'm going to show you how to do this from a computer and do an entire city in a day.
Right on.
All right, so if it's a bank-owned property, that sucks. All right, but let's say I get 100 of them that come back. These are properties that have been abandoned for months. I pull that list and I scrub out all of the banks. I'm gonna get left with people that still own that house and it still doesn't have water turned on to it. Now, I'm gonna give you some probabilities of what's going on there.
Okay.
Very, very common. Homeowner has died. Homeowner has died. They lived there by themselves, and the heirs either do not know what to do or have not been able to figure out how to do it. This right here gives you as a real estate investor, and I need to make sure that I pose this in a way that makes everybody out there understand that, as well as everybody needs to understand this. A true real estate investor is in the business of helping people. And we have accumulated the skills and knowledge required to do our best at helping people. We do not, as an industry, need people that are in here to take advantage of people. Because in these exact same scenarios, the scenario that I spoke of just a second ago, and the scenario that I'm about to speak on now, will, as just a byproduct of the situation, give us as people the ability to do one of two things. We will have the ability to either take advantage of this person, or we will have the ability to help this person. A real estate investor will help this person. A con artist, a fraud, a bad person will take advantage of them. I am here to teach real estate investors how to help people. If you are watching this and you use the knowledge that I'm giving you to take advantage of people, you will be the reason why this industry is regulated beyond abilities to perform. So if you are watching this right now, I need you to take, if you've got thought processes in your mind that will allow you to take advantage of people, you need to eliminate that right now, because that comes from a scarcity mindset. Somebody that will take advantage of somebody that has a scarce mindset. You need to change your mindset to an abundance of, if I help this person, more opportunities will occur in the future that will allow me to help more and more people. So keep that in mind. And I don't want to sit here on a soapbox, but if I train a bunch of people how to do these types of things, and you go out there with the wrong mindset and you start taking advantage of people, you will create regulation within this industry that is unsurpassable and destroy what so many people have tried to build and do. Do not do this. I have by no means believe you are this person, but I need to make sure, because thousands of people are going to get to watch this, that I do not place this knowledge into the wrong person's mind.
That'll get your ass kicked, really, man. If you mess up with people like that, that'll end up getting your ass kicked, because in where to get around to. Again, we talked about family, we talked about community. This is a community, and we're here, especially Dallas. It's big, but it's small. Word gets around fast, especially when you're messing with somebody's money. That'll get your ass kicked real quick.
So eliminate that mindset.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about this here. We have a deceased homeowner. The property's been abandoned. Maybe there are heirs, maybe there are no heirs. Maybe they have deceased, maybe they owned it free and clear. And they died and the bank's not foreclosing on them. That property's just sitting there.
Right.
Maybe there's a cousin or a niece or a nephew that doesn't even know this person that died. Doesn't even know they died, but because of the chain of title and you have curative title work in your background, I now know in Texas that I have what I'm gonna call a intestate diagram. For those that don't understand, that's INTESTATE, intestate diagram that will tell me who now owns that property in the event the homeowner dies. So depending upon your state, I can't tell you how your state works and how this will work, but I'm gonna give you just some quick background on Texas. If a homeowner dies, it will first go to the spouse and children. And if there are no spouse and children, it will then go to your children's children. If there are no children's children, it goes up to the grandparents or to the parents. If there are no parents, then it goes out to the siblings. If there are no siblings, it goes down to the siblings' children. And if there are no children of siblings, and if I'm confusing you, don't even worry because it's not important. The point is that there's a way that this happens and you need to go study it. It's called intestate. So we'll look at an intestate chart. What this list is now going to do is what the driving for dollars gold is. If I'm out driving for dollars, I'm trying to find those abandoned properties. I can help you find abandoned properties through public record. All right. So I'm not saying driving for dollars doesn't work, because driving for dollars definitely works, but I'm giving you a way to find some of that gold that driving for dollars provides within hours.
Yeah, you drive right to the dollars.
Yes, drive straight over there.
Right.
All right. So this is going to be a badass list for you, man. So we pull this list. And now that we have pulled this list, I'm trying to find those homes that have been abandoned. And if I find that a home has been deceased, let's just say I go through and I search public record. And when I search public record, the Central Appraisal District, and I'm looking for owners' names and owners' mailing addresses. Right. All right. I know that there's no water on this property. If I see that it's owned by Bank of America, owned by Chase, Wells Fargo, 51st Bank, if I see that it's owned by them, boom, off the list, off the list, off the list. Now what happens if I see that it's owned by James Smith and James Smith mailing address is the property? I already know, boom, that is an amazing lead. Because I know James Smith isn't living at that property without the water turned on. Right. So I can intuitively assume that either James Smith abandoned the property or James Smith is dead. And if James Smith is dead or has abandoned the property and nobody else has reoccupied that property, there is something happening with that property that is causing massive problems. And when there are massive problems, there becomes the massive opportunity to help. I now need to become a massive detective. Right. Remember we were talking about prospecting earlier. And remember I was also talking about activities that a newer real estate investor, and I try not to use the word wholesaler because I don't like putting pigeonholes into wholesaling. Yeah, because wholesaling is just one tool. Right. It is just one tool. As a real estate investor, I need to be prospecting, and I'm showing you prospecting gold right now. I'm showing you how to hit those gold mines. I have now narrowed this list down to the people that are owner occupants that have had the water shut off and I don't have an alternate mailing address. I need to get in touch with that person. I need to figure out what's going on with that person. I need to just drill in like there is nothing else in the world. Like let me put a scenario in your mind, and let me put a scenario in everybody's mind that's out there watching right now. I need you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. And I want you to picture it. I don't want you to just hear what I'm saying. I want you to picture it. Close your eyes. Do whatever you have to do. I've got a backpack sitting over there right now. And I'm going to stuff that thing full of $100 bills. I'm going to put $500,000 in that bag. Picture this in your mind. Don't pay attention to what I'm saying. Picture this in your mind. I want you to picture it in your mind. I've got $500,000 sitting in that bag. I'm going to take it outside. I'm going to open it up. And I'm just going to throw it up in the air. How hard do you think people are going to be fighting to get that money? Everybody. They're going to see $500,000 just floating through the air. Right. People from the road are going to be hitting U-turns. You're going to hear, right. Boom. People are going to be flying to try and figure out what's going on because they're going to want that. I need you to put that same thought process into your head with this house. That is $500,000 sitting there, and nobody knows how to solve that problem. Right. Nobody knows what to do. If somebody knew what to do, it wouldn't be sitting there. And this is why you should not feel bad about getting paid. You should feel bad about taking advantage of somebody if you're truly doing that. Like if somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, I don't know this, I don't know that, and you start intentionally lying to them and telling them things that are not true, that is taking advantage of somebody. But telling somebody, I have earned this knowledge and I have the ability to solve your problem, but through solving your problem, I do have to be paid. There's no shame in that. Right. There's no shame in that whatsoever. But you have gained the knowledge to know how to take advantage of that $500,000 flying through the air. The problem is that people have not trained their mind to see that property sitting there is the equivalent of a backpack full of money sitting in the middle of the road. And if you do not take advantage of it, somebody is going to figure that out and take it. Yeah. So what we need to do now is figure out, we've gone through some of the prospecting side of stuff. Now we need to figure out the marketing side of this. Because as a real estate investor, some of the things that you may not understand and may not realize, because I see so many people do this, is they get into this business and they want to learn the trade. There's a difference. There's a difference between the business and there's a difference between the trade. Yeah. The trade is, I can remodel a house. I can rent a house. I can wholesale a piece of paper. Those are all trade activities.
The outline, not the feeling.
There's a business that backs all of that up. And I'm teaching you the business right now. Exactly. The business is prospecting and marketing. If I can learn how to turn the prospecting and marketing on and keep that part of the business going, the trades can be applied. But you cannot apply the trades if you do not apply the business. Yeah. And the business is prospecting and marketing. You have to do that first before you get to apply anything else. So let's talk about the marketing part of this. We've talked about how to secure 2 damn good lists for you and how I can do that for you for free. That's not going to cost you anything. I've taught you how to scrub that list. Scrubbing that list should take you probably a day or 2, and that's not going to cost you anything. So within less than a week, I should have in front of you a list of highly targeted individuals that have a good probability of selling me their home. I see some people over here liking us on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. Keep those coming in. I need y'all to take some time away from this. I'm dropping bombs for you. I need you to subscribe to our content. I really, really, really do. If you do anything else today, show us some love by doing that. Let's get into the marketing. We're on a limited budget. I can't go out there and drop, 2015-16, I was dropping about anywhere from the low side of 15,000 to the high side of 25,000 postcards and mailers a month. That is big boy activity. That's expensive. I'm going to show you how to get into this business without doing that, because everybody that sees big boys, and I'm not trying to give me any credit that I deserve or don't deserve. I'm just explaining. If you're trying to look at the big boys and do what the big boys do, you're not on the big boy level. No. I want to get you there though. So what we need to do is we take all of those and we've narrowed those lists down to the ones that are going to be the best for me. Let's approach these two lists separately because they have different timelines, they have different motivators, and I'm not going to market to both of them the same way. Let's take a look at list number 1. List number 1 was water shut off in the last 30 days. 30 days. That list, if you do just GP in Arlington, if I narrow it down to just the absentee owners, I'm probably going to boil myself down guessing to probably about 30 people. Okay. To about 30 people.
That's manageable.
That's very manageable. And not only manageable, let me think about this. Let me think about the best way of putting this forward. Let me try and stew that down into my own thoughts. It is much easier for a single person, a solopreneur, to diligently go after 30 high quality leads than to try and shotgun out 30,000 leads.
Right.
You know, if I just go out and I say, show me all absentee owners in Dallas, you'll find probably about 8,000 of them.
Yeah, right.
Of those 8,000, probably about 7,800 of them are absentee owners because they want to be absentee owners. They want to be a landlord. You know, like everybody watching right now should aspire towards owning real estate. There's nothing wrong with owning real estate. Owning real estate without the knowledge to manage it or the business mindset to keep it going is a problem. But that is a shotgun approach. I'm giving you a sniper rifle. Let's pull it down to those 30 people. Now, if I've got 30 people, I need to contact them. Skip trace. Skip trace is going to be important. SkipGenie.com. We've got batch skip here. Dude, it is what it is, man. I apologize. We've got batch skip here. I need to get on the phone with these people.
Right.
I truly do. I need to get on the phone with these people. I'm going to skip trace them. Okay. Now, whenever I skip trace them, these are going to be absentee owners, absentee landlords. Now I need to go through and I need to put into mindset who this landlord is. Not just that they're a landlord. I already know that.
Right.
I need to get inside that landlord's mind because what am I about to do?
Try to get the house.
I'm gonna try and get the house, and I'm gonna try and communicate with them. I'm gonna try and solve a problem.
Yeah.
What problem am I trying to solve? And I'm asking open-ended questions here because what I need right now is I need to think about all of the pain points that landlord might be experiencing. We talked about that earlier. Remember, I've already had one tenant vacate. They trashed my house. I didn't have the money to fix that house back up, so I took another tenant that I should have never placed in this property. They're now in there. I'm having to evict them. I'm having to learn how to do all of this. I'm solopreneuring it. I'm mom and popping it. I don't really understand this. I need to get into that person's mindset. What are the problems that this person is experiencing? And now that I know what the problems are that this person is experiencing, I can now approach this seller in a mindset of solving those problems. Right. And if I think about all of that beforehand, I can already think about some of the rebuttals that these people might have. Maybe they were an accident. Okay, let's deal with the case scenario. And I'm not going to be able to go through all of these with you because this is like a 45-minute show just on its own. Mm-hmm. But let's just talk about the accidental landlord themselves. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the solopreneur landlord that thought they were just going to do this and it would be easy. Right. We're not going to talk about that person because that's a different mindset. And we're also not going to talk about the professional landlord that knew how to handle all of this. Right. We're going to talk about the accidental landlord. And what I need you to do as a homework is when you leave here, you need to think about these other two. What is the mom and pop landlord going to be thinking, and what is the professional landlord going to be thinking? Because they're going to have different problems. Right. And I'm going to have to learn to solve those problems differently. I'm going to talk about the accidental landlord. Why were they an accidental landlord? They bought this house, they intended on keeping this house, but for whatever reason, they were no longer able to occupy this house, and they're having to rent it. Let's think about some of the reasons why they might have become accidental landlords. They were married. They bought a house. Mm-hmm. They got divorced. Through the divorce, they had to separate, but they bought the house on two incomes. Now they have a single income, and the single income can't pay the rent. So they decide that they're going to have to move out to go to an apartment, and they tried to sell their house, but when they tried to sell their house, it had deferred maintenance, and they couldn't do any maintenance on it. So they rented it out to somebody that was willing to take the house as is. They were accidentally a landlord. And now this person has moved in and they're taking advantage of this accidental landlord because maybe this is a professional tenant. We have any professional landlord knows that there's professional tenants as well that will come in and they will find an accidental landlord and just squat take advantage of it. So think about the thoughts that this accidental landlord is having. They're stressed out of their mind. They've got somebody living in their house and they couldn't sell it. They were having all kinds of problems. They never wanted all these problems. All they wanted was to live with their husband or their wife and live happily ever after, and it didn't work out for them. They never wanted to be a landlord. Here is an opportunity for you to solve a massive headache for this person. Right. So if I can get inside that person's mind, now I know what that person's thinking. And I know how to approach that conversation. I can hop on the phone with that accidental landlord and just say, hey, You know, I was looking through Arlington. I like to buy properties in Arlington. I work with a lot of people that like to buy properties in Arlington, and your property showed up as one that I might be interested in selling. Would you consider selling that property if I could give you a fair offer, cash for that property right now? I don't care if it has repairs needed, because I've already thought this through. I'm handling objections just through my conversation. Maybe they could, you know, so I'm sitting there, I was like, I can give you a fair cash offer on it. I can handle if you've got a tenant in there right now that needs to be evicted, I can handle that as well. If there's any repairs, I can handle that. But if this property is a problem for you and you don't want to deal with it anymore, I can solve that problem for you. That's all I need to say. I hear people all the time talking about scripts, you know, talking about what questions do I need to ask? I don't really need to ask questions. Beds, baths, square footage, I can figure that out on the Central Appraisal District. I don't need to know any of that. I don't even need to know any of that to have this conversation.
Right.
All I need to know is that they're an accidental landlord and they're in that house.
What the problem is.
What's the problem?
How can I
So
fix
then
it?
once I can start building that conversation up and I can start getting them talking, that's when I start doing my due diligence. That's when I start finding out. Because if I'm on the phone and the very first thing I hear is F you, I don't care, blah, boom, dead lead. Put them on a mailer drip campaign if I can as I move forward, but now I'm going to jump on to the next one. Remember, I'm sniping.
All right.
So I move on to prospect number 29 out of 30. Move on to prospect 28 out of 30, and just keep on moving down that line. And out of 30 of them, you're going to find some that are ready to go. They're ready to do something.
Yeah.
Remember, we've got 3 motivators: accidental landlord, small-time mom and pop might not know the business, but they think that they're going to get in there and just win it big at this, and they don't understand the business side of it. And then you've got the business landlord. We have to think about all 3 motivators and how they're going to handle this phone call. Business guy, you call them up, you're not going to be like, hey, is that house trash? Is this doing this? Is that doing that? They already know it's trash. They're prepared for this. They know they're well capitalized. But you might be able to approach them something different. It's like, hey, you know, have you looked at your portfolio lately and really kind of culled out the investments that aren't performing so well for you? I don't know what your return on investment looks like right now, but if you'd be willing to move that property off, even if you're not willing to take a massive discount on it, I don't need a massive discount. Would you consider owner financing this to me? Would you consider selling this to me subject to? You know, I can roll a different conversation with a sophisticated investor than I can an accidental landlord. Totally different conversations. But if I'm prepared up front and I know the questions that I need to be asking to draw that kind of information out, and I can get that kind of information without even asking for it because they're going to give it to me.
Right.
If I get on the phone with the business and I'm like, hey, I was taking a look at this project, and they're like, oh, we're professionals. I got 35 houses over there. Boom. I already know this person's a professional. I can start tailoring that conversation to them. Homework. Let's do that.
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost me to skip trace 30 properties? About $15. But if I can do that, we do Arlington, we do GP. You got that process figured out. What's going to stop you from doing Fort Worth? What's going to stop you from doing Dallas? What's going to stop you from doing 172 cities here?
Right. Nothing. Once you get the process down, it's easy work. You just got to get the process.
So we talked earlier about that overnight success that took 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. I finally figured this out. I was doing 172 cities locally every single day, prospecting, 172 cities. I'm just talking about Arlington and Grand Prairie right now because I don't want you overwhelmed trying to do all that. I want you to do Arlington and Grand Prairie from beginning to end. So that way you can figure the prospecting side of it out. And then once you've got that process figured out to where it's no longer consuming you,
right,
then let's stack a little bit more weight on your shoulders. I don't just go into the gym and immediately try and deadlift 800 pounds.
Right.
I start out with 50 pounds and work my way up. Well, I'm dropping 50 pounds on you right now. What I need you to do is start adding that weight on. If I can start getting you pull all of these cities here locally and you do it diligently like clockwork, it's on the calendar, you don't stop, you're gonna start killing it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a formula. Getting rich is not an accident. It's a formula. And I'm teaching you formulas to make that happen. So 30 of them up front, it's going to cost $15. It's going to be limited, but you do that for weeks and weeks, $15 a week. Boom, boom, boom. Eventually, you're going to hit $20,000, $5,000. I don't care how many thousand is, you're going to hit something.
Right.
And once you've hit that, that speeds you back up. That gets you going. Now, instead of waiting, $15 a week, now I'm dropping $400 this week because I'm going to do them all.
Right.
But I'm going to get you to start scaling that up. So looks like I'm time for a break. If you're enjoying the content that we're dropping on you today, if you feel like you're getting value out of what we've provided, ask the questions in the comments below. I'm not up here just running my mouth to run my mouth. I want to see y'all succeed. I want to see everyone out there win. There's nothing else I can say but that. Obviously Propelio.com is a software for your real estate investing business. If you're getting value out of what we're doing and you're going out there and you're killing it in this, help us spread some love. Tell everybody you know about Propelio.com. We provide lead lists. We provide MLS comps. We provide all kinds of stuff for you. I don't even have the time to sit there and list it all down. I need you to go out there though and check out Propelio.com. If you need these kinds of tools in your investing business, websites, we're just adding more and more value as we go along. Go out there and check out Propelio.com. We're going on a short commercial break, and as soon as we come back, I'm gonna sit here with Ace and we're going to this next step, and we're gonna go about designing your week. That sound like a good deal? Much love, man. Let's go ahead and hit up this commercial and we'll come right back.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to Propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today.
Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
All right, everybody. For everybody that's tuning in right now, maybe you can zoom out just a little bit so I can back up here a little bit. I'm gonna start breaking down the calendar for the week. I'm gonna work with you specifically. I'm not making this calendar for everybody that's out there. So everybody that's out there will be able to see this exercise, but I'm here to work with you today. Right. So I'm gonna work through this. I'm gonna go ahead and just drop down a week. So I'm gonna start out here with Sunday. I'm gonna go through Monday, and I wasn't 110% prepared for this. So Tuesday, I'm just gonna start throwing stuff down. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we've got the week out here, and I'm gonna just go through and break this down into 2-hour chunks. So let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna come through here. I'm gonna make a crappy little calendar for everybody out there watching right now. I'm gonna come through here and I'm gonna start dropping activities onto the desk of what we should be doing. So if we call that 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, we still have to leave enough time in the day to live life, because life is not about business. Life is about family and friends, and designing a business for you that takes away from family and friends is not a business you're gonna want. Right. So how are we gonna fit into this 8-hour day a business that provides for you and your family and still gives you the ability to live life the way you're supposed to be living life? So what days do you wanna work? Starting out, I'm all about the hustle. But once you start getting that figured out, you need to start slowing it down.
All right.
Where are you willing to commit?
Right now, I'm Sunday through Saturday. Or
I
Sunday
love it.
through
Right there,
Sunday.
right there. Give me. That's how I was starting out.
Yeah.
But what I want to make sure that I don't do for you is get you into the mindset that that's the way it needs to stay.
Right.
Getting started, let's do that. But we do need to, as you move forward and you start pulling deals down, remember to pay yourself back. And paying yourself back means life.
Yeah.
Go out there and live that life. So we're Sunday through Saturday. Mondays, getting up. Remember earlier we were talking about every single day, what do? I go out, I get my little spiral notebook, and I write down all the things that I know that could get done today. And I'm gonna prioritize them. So one of the first things in the morning I want you to do is prioritize. Prioritize, excuse my spelling. Prioritize. I want you to spend the first 15 to 20 minutes out of that day and just thinking about, what do I need to do today to get paid? So maybe we've already got some properties in escrow. Maybe I need to follow up on those to make sure that they go to closing. Right. Maybe I've got several leads that are warm and I need to call them back up. Those are gonna be the things that you're gonna end up filling out your day with. I'm gonna prioritize money activities first. I'm going to then move forwards to the must-dos. And then I'm gonna do the want-to-dos. That shouldn't take much time. And I call these 2-hour blocks, but I'm just gonna kind of start throwing these in there. The money right now for you is going to be prospecting. So the very first thing I do when I get up, you're talking about, I'd go through and I'd pull a list and I'd start doing a bunch of analysis on it and I'd start trying to figure all that out. Let's not focus on that right now. So the very first thing is today's Monday. When we leave this show, what I want you to do is file open record requests.
Let me grab my pen and paper. I want to write this down myself.
Go for it.
Straight gold right here.
All right. I want you, as soon as you leave here, to file open records requests with Arlington and GP.
All right.
Now, you should get those back within the next week to 2. Typically under 10 business days. Hopefully I can get you these back here very soon.
Yeah, it was really quick. They got it right back to me. I think it was less than 10 business days. I think it was like 5 business days, and I had it right in my email. They was quick on it.
GP, Grand Prairie, has always been really fast for me, like within hours. Like I could possibly just go up to GP and get it right then and there today. So if you could go and sure. So if you could go ahead and if you can go ahead and get GP, possibly even just drive over to, because you're supposed to file open records requests, but the water department over there at Grand Prairie understands the process so well that you could likely just walk into the water department.
And they'll give it to you.
And they'll give it to you. So anything you can do today to get that going on.
Oh yeah.
But we don't have lists yet.
Right.
So what I'm gonna end up needing you to do for the rest of the day is start putting together the process and figuring out the process to accommodate the scrubbing of the list that we're talking about earlier today. What were some of the things that we needed to do with that list?
We needed to make sure that it was
Central Appraisal District, absentee owners, scrubbing it against the MLS to pull out the ones that have already been sold. So we need to figure out and put it together a system in your own mind for making that happen. So if you don't already know how to do that, what I want you to do is go home and take the list that you've already got, and let's just say pull off 100 of those records and start putting together the system that you need to start cleaning that list.
Okay.
So we're just gonna practice with that list. Find 100 of them so that way you know what's going on. This isn't gonna be money-making activity, but the money-making activity is gonna be the open records request. But then once you get that open records request, I'm gonna do the must-dos.
Okay.
The must-dos is I need to know what to do with it when it comes back.
Right.
So I'm gonna figure out how to scrub that list. We talked about scrubbing the list earlier. Do a practice scrub on the list that you already have.
Okay.
All right, now that I've got that done, I would imagine that take you an hour or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Spend the rest of the day driving for dollars. Spend the rest of the day driving for dollars. Don't just drive for dollars though. When you're out driving for dollars, if you see a house that's vacant, you need to add that to a list somehow. Propelio is releasing a driving for dollars app here in a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
I can't wait for that.
We'll be hooking you up with that. So go ahead and do that. But if it's a vacant property or property that you see distressed, don't just look at it. Get out the car. Walk up, knock on the door. If nobody's home, knock on the neighbor's door. Figure out what's going on there, because if you're already in front of the house, so many people will drive for dollars, target the address, and then send out a piece of mail and say it's done.
Right.
No, you need to get out the car, go knock. You need to try and get in touch with somebody, try and get a deal done right there. In your car, you're gonna need with you all of the paperwork you would need to get a contract right then and there. Because you have no idea. If you walk up to that house and you knock on the door, I heard a story, I think it was Jason Della on Facebook here in the last week. He was like, I was out driving for dollars and I saw he said, I saw a lead hit Zillow that was in pre-foreclosure. I was already in the neighborhood. And since I was in the neighborhood, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and drive past it. Well,
and he came back to the house.
He drove past it and there was a lady there moving out of the house.
Yeah.
She was abandoning the house as he pulled up. So think about that. Driving for dollars, get out the car, go talk to them. That should be overall your day. I know there's not a whole bunch written down here, and for everybody else, what is the number one thing you need to be focusing on?
Getting the money.
Getting the money. How are you gonna get money?
Prospecting.
Prospecting. So your entire day, your entire week should be prospecting.
Yeah.
110%. So all of these other busy activities that I'm doing, and analyzing my leads, doing any of that type of stuff, wash it off your plate. There's only 2 things I need you doing until you can start showing me some paychecks. And that is going to be prospecting. And prospecting for you needs to be driving for dollars, because we're on limited budgets, and we need to be scrubbing those lists. So once I get those lists in, let's say I drive for dollars for the rest of the day.
All right.
for the rest of the day. That's 8 hours of prospecting a day. If you're prospecting 8 hours a day, you've got something going on. So if I come in here, let's say that's 7 hours because we spend about an hour or two up here. Tuesday, what am I going to do here on Tuesday? And if I need to change my position, let me know.
Prioritize.
Prioritize. What's prioritizing for this going to look like? Because we've got a new day here. We did this over here this day. We did some open records requests, and then we did some driving for dollars, and we prioritized everything. We're going to prioritize first, but now what do I need to do?
You still putting the money there. Driving for dollars every day.
Okay, let's pause for 2 seconds.
Okay.
If I went out and drove for dollars, I should now have 20 to 30 leads. You know, I should have some stuff in my pipeline.
Right.
So today, I didn't have anything in my pipeline.
Right.
I put some stuff in my pipeline today. Now over here, I need to prioritize. Prioritizing is going to be.
Oh, the driver for dollars, the people.
I need to start contacting.
Right.
And building out that list. Contacting my D for D people. So we can go out there and we can skip trace these people. Let's say, remember how we were scrubbing the water lists? We might also be able to scrub this list. Instead of just going out there and trying to blanket target all 30 or 40 of them, because depending upon what my budget is, if I can, that's going to be great. But if my budget is tight, what I'm going to now need to do is take that list. Let's say I find 60 or 70, 80 properties in that 100 in that 7 hour day. Okay. I can go back through and I'm going to scrub that list just the same way I showed you to scrub the water list. I'm going to start going through and I'm going to try and find ones that are absentee owners. I'm going to try and find people that are behind on taxes. If we're driving for dollars in Arlington, Arlington's in Tarrant County. Right. Tarrant County, I can go into the Tarrant County tax assessors and I can see people that are behind on taxes. So if I get 100 of these, and then I go into the Central Appraisal District, I start finding absentee owners. I start going through the tax lists, and I find people that are also behind on taxes. If I start going through and I start finding these people in public record as in pre-foreclosure, then I can start taking all of these. I would say taxes, absentee owners are some really good ones, and or while you're driving for dollars, notate the ones that were abnormally distressed for the neighborhood. Just because a house looks like trash doesn't mean anything if the whole neighborhood looks like trash. I'm looking for something that's abnormally distressed for the neighborhood. Prioritize those leads. While I skip trace these, what I might find though is that John Smith is in here somewhere. If I'm skip tracing these leads and I see that there's an 89-year-old person there that's an owner occupant, there's a chance that that person may have passed away or something else is going on. Ultimately, though, I want to find the highest qualified people within that list, and then what am I going to start doing for about this much of the day?
After you contact them, right back driving.
Over here, I'm prospecting. Over here, I'm marketing. Prospecting and marketing. That's what this business is.
Okay.
So over here, I'm going to be marketing. So I need to take this list of people that I created the day before, and when I come in the first thing in the morning, I'm going to focus on money. I'm not going to focus on anything else because so many people get busy and they don't prospect and market. Marketing, I'm going to skip trace, I'm going to scrub that list, and now I'm going to have to start calling people up or going out there and trying to find them somehow, figuring out whatever I have to do. This is the piece is where I'm going to need you to fail often and hard. Double down on hard, double down on failing. Do not feel bad about talking to these people because every time you talk to them, it's just like when we first get started as kids, you know, we're trying to build those relationships with the females and we're out there trying to talk. You know, we got to figure out how to move through that. It's going to be the exact same thing over here. You're going to have to learn that language. You're going to have to learn how to move through that prospect. Get that figured out. The more times you get on the phone, the better you're going to be at doing this business. All right, so now that I've gotten through that, I pushed through that for 8 to 12. I also need to throw into this the follow-up. Okay. Follow-up is extremely important. I need you to be taking notes. In the Propelio, I can go in there, I throw this lead in Propelio. I can go in there, I can put in my notes. I can put the pictures up, I can upload those. I can put it in, I called them at this time, I left this voicemail, I sent this text message, I did this, and then set yourself a task up in Propelio and say the task is in 3 more days, I need to send them a new text message. Yeah. Remember that the value is in the follow-up. So move forward with that. As I'm marketing, I'm also going to find people that I could not get a hold of, dead numbers, unable to find anything else out about them. Those people need to go to the top of my priority. Okay. Because if I'm not able to find them, and nobody else is able to find them, the better I get at finding that person, the better the chances of me getting the deal is going to be. Because if I'm Mr. I don't have time to hustle, and I try to market to them once and I don't succeed and I give up, well, then you failed.
Right.
But if I'm the I don't give a damn, there's $30,000 sitting there on that house, I'm going to hustle my ass off to find it. Then we need to put that person into a follow-up. And if I couldn't catch them at all, I move them back to the top of my priorities, and I make sure I spend the rest of this time going through that list and then finding the ones that I could not find. They're high value.
Okay.
All right. After I move through all of that, if that ends up taking up my day, good. You need to be spending as much time as you possibly can marketing on a well-prospected list. So we're prospecting over here, we're coming over here, we're doing the marketing. Let that just fill my day up, and if it doesn't, anything that's left over, go back out and drive them for dollars. This is a job. You're gonna spend 8 hours a day doing this. Okay, let's move on to Wednesday.
All right.
How's Wednesday gonna look? I think
Prospecting.
you're already starting to get this figured out.
Oh,
You
yeah.
already see how this works. So let's just say by now we've got first thing in the day, we need to prioritize. Always prioritize money, want to do's, and need to do's. Right now, we're in the money phase.
Okay.
Everything we're doing is evolving around money because we need to start cashing some checks. So money always goes to the top of that list. And if we did marketing and driving for dollars, we did some prospecting the day before, we did some marketing the day before. This moves right back up to the next day.
And repeating.
And I'm gonna repeat. This is what my week should start looking like. Now, let's say I move on to Thursday and I get myself a water list.
All right.
Okay, if I move in and on Thursday I get my water list, this entire day
Scrubbing that list.
is going to be scrubbing that list. And what's at the end of this day? Money, man.
Money.
This is how you make money in this business.
Because now it's a system.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a system. And that's what I don't have. I don't have this system. And I know there's a lot of me's out there that don't have this system. It's just scramble, just waking up, scramble. What can I do? And the first thing that we'll do is go to somewhere to where we can look at a house and try to, instead of prospecting, we analyze it. And yeah.
So if we make our week look like this, it's not too difficult, but this is what our week needs to look like. Now, this is the week of a newer real estate investor. You start knocking down some deals, you start knocking down some money, we've got a whole different system that comes into play now because your day's not gonna look like this anymore. What your day is gonna look like is you're gonna be working with people that are driving for dollars. You're gonna be working with people that are scrubbing your list. You're gonna be managing those people so that way they can do all of that and you can start focusing on some bigger things. Start creating some relationships, start sourcing some private money, start going out there making some banking relationships. That's when we start pulling all of that together because now if I spend my first week as a newer real estate investor and this day is I'm gonna go out and find me a bank that'll loan me money. I'm gonna go out and try and find private money. I'm gonna go out and try and build a buyer's list. How much of those things get me paid? None of them. None of them. None of them get you paid. I could have 10 million in private capital sitting on the sidelines, but if I didn't do any of this, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
So let's focus on the getting paid activities first. And then once you've got this figured out, then your week can start changing up a little bit. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and hire a virtual assistant to do all of this piece. And maybe not the marketing, but the list scrubbing. See all the scrubbing? That's like a 7 or 8 hour day for you.
Okay.
Well, if I can take and buy back my time and I can hire a virtual assistant to scrub this list for me for $3 an hour, 8 hour day, 8, 16, 24. $24. I just paid $24 and I bought back 8 hours of my life. So there's a saying that we hear a lot, and that is time is money.
All right.
Money is time. There's a big difference between the two. Time is not money, money is time. Poor people are taught that time is money. I will exchange my time for your money.
Right.
You need to move on to that next level. And this was a philosophy that I learned through reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the Robert Kiyosaki books. What I'm looking at right there is I want to be the person with the money exchanging time. So let's put that in. So right here, I can exchange it and I can buy back 8 hours of my life. Fill that 8 hours with the next level of activity. Go into those REIAs, networking, building those cash buyers, finding that private capital, start putting into things, banking relationships.
Because now the business is automated.
So now the business is kind of flowing.
Yeah.
So you need to get to a point where you understand this to where you've done this for months and months and months. And what are you going to tell me months and months and months after doing this?
That I've taught somebody else to do this, and now my time is mine.
That you've made money.
Yeah.
I need you making money, man. I need you out there making money.
hope
I get you out there and you start doing this, you're gonna start making money. Use that money to buy back your time and move your business to the next level.
I got to, because you know something that I would hate the most is coming back to you in a few months and telling you that I haven't made no money.
But you ain't gonna do that.
No, definitely not.
So
definitely not.
We get out there. So this is the point. Now, real estate, some people that are watching right now, I know that you're good at this, you're good at communicating with people. You are gonna start getting leads that come in. And I'm moving on down this. We scrub this list on Friday.
All right.
What are we gonna do? Money. And if we spend all of this day scrubbing, this day needs to be marketing.
Okay.
All day long. We need to be getting in touch with these people that we scrubbed off of that list. Market all day Friday. If you're marketing all day Friday, somewhere in here you're gonna start hitting little chunks like, oh, boom here, I got another one over here. What are those gonna be? Those are gonna be your appointments.
Right.
So we're gonna have to break off to some appointments in between there, but as we break off to appointments, when I start coming back to those appointments, what do I come back with?
Money.
Money. What is this week starting to look like?
A system.
Money. I need money, man.
Right.
So many people focus on the activities that don't generate income.
Right.
I want money. So on Friday, money. Once I start getting those contracts, then we're gonna start having to look at a new week. So I'm trying to show you how to build out your week. If I get this contract, part of getting that contract is going to mean you're gonna lose some time driving for dollars.
Right.
You're gonna lose some time marketing. And that's why you need to automate those things so that way, no matter what happens over here, all of that is still going.
Yeah.
Because if not, you'll start seeing your money come in waves. I'll start doing a bunch of marketing, I'll get a deal, I'll focus on that deal, but while I'm focusing on my deal, I'm not marketing, and then I close that deal, now I got paid, but for the last 2 weeks, I didn't do any marketing because all of my time was consumed getting that deal closed. So that's why I need to use that money to come back and automate my time so that way whenever I do get another contract, my marketing is still going.
Yeah.
That's how you keep yourself from hitting waves of income. So that was one of the mistakes that I made coming out. I'd go out and I'd drop 5,000 postcards and I'd get 5,000 people trying to call me up.
Right.
And then I'm overwhelmed taking phone calls. If I'm overwhelmed taking phone calls, what am I not doing? Marketing.
Right.
If I'm not marketing and then I get those phone calls and then I'm going out on appointments, if I'm going out on appointments, what's not happening?
You're not driving for dollars.
I'm not driving for dollars. I'm not prospecting. I'm not marketing. That's why it's important for you to use some of this cash coming back in to put back towards automating your time so that way you can either have systems in place, virtual assistants, helpers, wife, cousin, friends. You know, we work together as a community, but once you get that contract, you're gonna now need to change up your week a little bit. Okay. You're gonna need to figure out and find yourself a buyer. Where am I gonna find a buyer? Where am I gonna do this? That's when I start doing what's money-making activity once I have the contract.
You gotta market it out.
I gotta get that contract sold.
Right.
So you see how your money-making activities might change from day to day?
Right.
That's why I always say, start out your day by prioritizing your money, your must-dos and want-to-dos.
Okay.
Because next week when I come back and I hit this contract over here on Saturday because I got an appointment because of all of the driving for dollars and all the marketing and all the list scrubbing I've done, I finally got that contract. My Monday's gonna look a little different.
Right.
I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore, but my money on Monday now is get that contract over to title, open up a abstract, and then start figuring out who my buyer for that property is gonna be. Now let me change up a few things on how you're prospecting buyers. I'm gonna want your buyer to be the best buyer you can get, the one that's willing to pay the most for it. If I'm out prospecting and I'm in a rental neighborhood, I don't want to sell this property to a flipper.
Right.
Flipper's not gonna pay me as much as a landlord. So I need to find a landlord. So this is how my money's gonna look. I need to find a landlord that wants to buy this property. Well, let me tell you real quick what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into the Central Appraisal District and I'm gonna look for all absentee owners within 1 mile of that property. And I'm gonna find all those absentee owners within 1 mile of that property, and what am I gonna do?
Market to them.
I'm gonna give them a phone call. I'm gonna say, hey James, I know that you own 123 Main Street over there, and I know that you're a badass landlord and you like making that money, I've got another property that fit really good in your rental portfolio right over here on 124 Main Street.
Right.
Would you be interested in buying that if I can give it to you at a good deal? I use those words. I give it to you at a good deal. Now they're sitting there thinking, well, I do like being a landlord. I do want to own more rental property over in this area. I am making money on my rentals. I would like to buy that. That is a way that you can move property to landlords that, because, you know, not every landlord is 30 something on Facebook. I'd like to go out there and just put this thing on Facebook and get it sold. And can I get it sold? Potentially, yes. But is that going to be my best buyer? I want to go straight to the source. If I can find all of the landlords in that neighborhood that are owning property, and I can hit them up and say, hey, I've got a 1984 322 that needs a new roof, it needs a little bit of air conditioning work, but I got it at a good discount for you. I think you'll be able to come in there, rent it up, refinance it, and still walk away with limited cash out of pocket. This is a great deal for you. If you'd like, I can show it to you today.
Yeah, because they know what's going on in that neighborhood, so they know what it's worth. So yeah.
So are you understanding that?
Yes, sir.
And now that I've got that, I take that through closing, and while that's moving forward through closing, I'm doing all of this, keep on going through prioritizing, keeping that funnel going, get that deal closed. I hire a virtual assistant. I get that virtual assistant to handle all my scrubbing and all of that. Now I've got a system in place. Now I'm going to take that virtual assistant. That virtual assistant can work how many hours a week? 40 hours a week?
Right.
If it's 40 hours a week at $3 an hour, it's $120 a week. If I make even $5,000, even if I just make $5,000 off of that one deal, how long can I keep that VA employed?
You got her for a long time.
You got a year's worth of salary
Right.
almost. And this isn't me taking advantage of this person. This is me providing opportunity to this person.
Yeah, because they want to do that.
They're in a country where their income is so suppressed. I am giving them far more money than they'd be able to make in their own country. So is it taking advantage of them or providing them opportunity?
Provide an opportunity.
If the best that they could do in their country is 85 cents an hour, and I'm giving them $3 an hour, that's 3 to 4 times more than they would ever be able to make in their own backyard.
Right.
So I provide that opportunity, and I take this cash, and instead of spending it on doodads, I come right back into my business, and I spend that on buying back my time. I want to make sure that I put that thought process in, buy back my time. Okay? So once I've bought back my time, she or he is doing all this prospecting and stuff for you. Start filling your days back up with these other things that I'm talking about. Going back through there and creating the networks, creating the connections. If she can work 40 hours a week, let's say that this is my VA down here. This is her 40-hour week. This is her 40-hour week. When we first started talking out, what list were we going to pull?
Water list.
For what cities?
Arlington, Grand Prairie.
How many cities are there within a 1-hour drive of Dallas?
A lot.
172. I know, because I did this. I'm teaching you what I did. 172 of them. That VA's job is now to do what?
172 cities.
172 cities. You're going to need to teach her or him how to prospect for you. I want them filing open records requests. I want them scrubbing those lists. And if I can get her to spend 40 hours a week doing that for $120 a week, on Mondays, your Monday now comes in, looks like, well, here's all my lists. What are you going to do?
Call.
All day long. And now you got that $5K that you just closed off of that deal. That money's going to go back into, instead of slow rolling your skip tracing, I'm going to skip the whole list.
Right.
And all day long, what are you going to do? Call. I want you to do this all day long.
Yeah.
I want you to fail all day long. And if you do that over and over and over again, you're going to start getting this.
Getting to the money.
Because every time you miss a shot, you learn what you did wrong. And now that you do this over here, that 5K, guess what happens? That starts happening more and more often. And then you start hitting 20Ks, 30Ks, 40Ks, 50Ks. And by the time you start doing that, guess what happens? People start seeing that you are winning.
Right.
And then you start creating that sphere of influence around you because everybody's like, man, Ace is killing it over there. You got everybody that's going to be wanting to help you. Learn how to accept that in and start working and helping build everybody else up around you. You start working on building everybody else up around you. You start putting all these things into play. You won. I just taught you how to do it.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. That's what I needed. That's what I needed, and that's what a lot of me's needed. A lot of newbies out there need it.
Well, let's go ahead and sit down for a second. We'll wrap this up. I hope this brought some value to you and everybody else out there watching today. But that's what your week should look like, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, so for everybody that's out there still watching, I don't know if we have enough time to go through and answer questions because this was a fairly in-depth show. This show was specifically for Ace, my way of saying thank you for all the love that you've given me, man. I truly hope that I provide some value. Do you have any final questions that I might be able to fill in for you before we walk out of here? I can see, man, you've got that just going.
You know, I'm just ready to get going now. I got a process in place. I'm ready to get out there and start prioritizing and getting to the money. And I definitely thank you. I thank Propelio. Again, I thank the people that from Propelio that helped me out. And I hope that by you giving me this information, I hope that me being in this position helped somebody else, you know. So I hope you guys took notes just like I did and get out there and take action the right way.
Well, much love, man. Thank you for all the help that you've given us.
Thank you.
Thank you massively. Everybody out there watching right now, thank all of y'all. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to show up.